Imagine being able to take a single photo and magically turn it into a full 3D holographic soccer card with one click. This is now possible using Fall workflows. In this video, I'll show you how to make your very own web app using this workflow from Fall and Claude Code. We'll cover the entire process from scratch, including creating your own GitHub repository and hosting it on Vercel. By the end of the video, we'll have created a web app that works on desktop and on mobile that could be the start of your next business. Let's get started. So this amazing workflow was created by the one and only Lovis, who is an incredible creative engineer here at Fall and kind of famous online. In the beginning, you'll see it has a custom card opening pack animation with a little cut sign at the top. Incredible. And when you open the cards, a lot of them pop out, and there's an auto-scrolling feature and a bit of a kind of fake pseudo 3D interaction. The whole thing is pretty magical looking. Now, the secret source code behind this web app is actually a Fall workflow that we can check out by clicking on the workflow button. Fall workflows are a self-contained visual scripting environment where you have access to inputs from the user, different image and video models like you'd expect from Fall, and some other really special tools that allow you to automate an entire sequence of events that give you a workflow like the one we're going to use now. And the best part is that this workflow, once it's created, is available via API that we can use for a web app using Claude Code, or I guess regular programming too. So now let's create our very first prompt to get this web app started. And before we go into Claude Code, let's go back to the workflow and click on the API button. And we're going to copy and paste this code. This is going to tell Claude Code how to actually work and call this specific API. So let's create a new project in Claude. And our first prompt is going to say something like, make a modern minimal designed web app that uses the Fall.ai API and workflow-3D-card to allow users to upload a photo of themselves, then select a country/team, and generate a holographic football card. So I'm pasting in the API that I got from the website, and we're going to let Claude cook for a little bit. After Claude is done with its first pass, we're going to go find our local env file and copy and paste our Fall API key there. Then we launch our local web server, and we give the new web app a try. Now, on this first pass, I was able to upload my photo, but when I hit generate, I got an error. This is because Claude Fable 5 is not available. Opus 4.8 didn't quite one-shot it, so can't wait for Fable to be back, basically. So right out of the gate, we're getting an error from our Claude Code website, and I prompt for, I got this error message. Also, the card preview shows a broken image link. The workflow finished but returned no image. And then I copy and pasted in the error message. After a little bit of work, Claude discovered that the number jersey, which if you saw on the website before, that there really wasn't that input when we did our first workflow. And it discovered that that input was actually incorrect. There is no number jersey. I'm not sure where it got that parameter from, hallucinated it, or my prompt is off. And it got rid of it. And it basically piped in the image from the uploaded photo into two fields, and that made the workflow happy, and I went to test it again. So I refreshed the web page, uploaded my photo, gave it a name, generated it, and after about a minute, we actually got our card back, which was great. I downloaded this card to use for the next step. Now, looking at this website, it's safe to say that it's just ugly. And the point of this exercise here isn't to design the best user interface in the world or even give this product a proper naming and paywall, but there was some basic functionality that I wanted to have coded out for me, so I jumped back into Claude Code to change how the UI and UX was working on this website. So back in Claude Code, the new prompt is create a folder called graphics, where I'll put an image called card_preview_1.png that is a sample out or output. Use that image when the page starts as a preview for the card output. When the generation starts, change the card preview to be a nice looking gradient image with a subtle animation with the text status over it. The text status it automatically created, so it was Fable-like, but not quite Opus. When the image is being generated, add a progress bar roughly for 1 minute and get rid of the bar when it's finished generating the card image. So after Claude finished this, I went back to the web app and immediately it was just the same thing. They still didn't change anything. It was a slightly better loading animation, but it didn't start with the image. So we went back into Claude and said, the card graphic doesn't show the preview card image. It starts right away with the gradient and status state. Make the start state display the card preview 1.png. I also had copied and pasted the downloaded image into the new design folder in between. And again, I feel like maybe I just have AI psychosis. I feel like Claude Fable wouldn't have made this issue, but it did fix it, and it found out that the initial card layer or divider or something like that had its transparency set to 0. Okay, sure, it fixed it, and we headed back to test it out. So after just a little bit of tweaking afterwards, a couple small prompts here, the web app was working in a way that I thought felt good. We could enter our name, we could pick our state, there's no team jersey anymore. And after we generated, we got a nice little preview here that's a loading screen with a loading bar. And in the end, we got our actual image, our card, and we could hover over it and get a sort of semi-3D effect. Now, I don't remember prompting for the 3D effect / I didn't, so I don't know if it picked that up from the workflow or how it figured that out, but good for Opus. Nice job. Next, we're going to take this web app that we've created and get it ready to actually deploy so that we can show it to other people. Now, if you're on X and you're getting started with vibe coding and GenMedia, you may have seen the joke out there about people saying, hey, it worked on my computer and it says localhost 3000 or whatever. That is basically when you're using Claude Code or whatever app you're making and you're running your own local server. And the only way you can access that is through the browser, which is your local host. And of course, if you tried to share localhost to someone else, that wouldn't work. It would be looking for that app server on their local computer. Sorry to over-explain and possibly explain wrong even that joke, but this is how we fix that solution by actually making our website an actual app that's shareable to other people. There's a couple steps that are pretty straightforward. So to start, you do need a GitHub account, and you're gonna need a Vercel account. So what we're gonna prompt Claude to do is update this website so it could work as a Vercel hosted app, then make a new GitHub repo called football card and push commit. Make sure the .env file is in the git ignore and my fall API is never exposed. So this is another joke that you'll see in kind of like website vibe coding GenMedia world for people that are making apps like this is that people will leak their API key. And if you're new to this, like I still honestly relatively new to this space, but your fall API key would give access to other developers to spend money on it, on your account. This is like your credit card number in a certain way. This is the number one thing before you go live that you want to make sure is not included. A git ignore just makes sure that certain files aren't being shared to GitHub where they're accessible to other people. And then once this is all working, which takes a little bit the first time, but now I've done it over and over again. I don't have to think about it at all. Once you say to Claude to commit this to GitHub, all you have to then go do is go to Vercel and start a new project where you can then import one of the repositories. In this case, it's going to be our football card app here. And then that is going to automatically deploy that to the internet. It's going to give you your own domain. And if you get really serious about it, like I have for one of my newest projects, you can go buy a custom domain and have it forward to this Vercel account here. So with that all said and done, again, we created a new repository on GitHub, went to Vercel and linked that repository, made the site live, went to it, and boom, an error. I've actually never seen an error like this. Where's Fable 5 when we need it? And I took and copied pasted this error that we were getting, went back to Claude Code and said, on Vercel, I'm getting this error trying to view the website, and I copied and pasted that in. So Claude, at this point, I guess I hadn't gotten the Vercel CLI. I went and downloaded it and did a bunch of work on its end. And by the end, it figured out that the website was auto-flagging the framework as being, I forget what it was, but basically that was causing errors, and it nulled out the framework. It said framework none for Vercel, and the web app started working again. So just a little bit of work with Opus, not too bad. So now the moment of truth. Let's check out the web app on desktop on macOS. The website's looking pretty good. Again, the UI is quite bare and simple, but I think the UX UI that we came up with is pretty smooth as far as a demo app. And I was able to upload my photo, wrote in my name, I picked my team and hit generate. And as it's generating, it has this cool logo and a loading status bar. And when the app is finished, it returns the final image of my face on the soccer player or football player's card. Really cool look. And it even has this cool hover animation where it has like a little lens flare. You can move it up and down, and the card kind of like moves in perspective. Pretty awesome. Now, the great part about web apps is that it will work on desktop and it should work on mobile. There's a lot of things you need to consider for mobile, but I think in general, Opus and Fable 5 certainly will do most of the proper coding standards to allow responsiveness, to go from like a wide desktop view to a single column view on mobile. That is usually pretty much built in with maybe a couple little things you have to change. But I took out my iPhone and took a rather awful selfie of myself and then did this exact same workflow on my iPhone in Safari, typed in my name, picked my team, hit enter. We do have to scroll down. So maybe on mobile, we just kind of do that in place. We don't have it scroll, but I scrolled down. You can see the loading animation, the loading bar. And when it's done, boom, there's our card done on our iPhone. Honestly, one of the first like web apps for mobile that I've kind of ever made, if you can call it that. I don't know. I was happy about it. I was like, fun demo. And our hover animation doesn't quite work. It's more like a tap animation. So you could still tap on it and get that kind of like 3D effect. It's not as nice. And then you could also download the image directly onto your Photos app. Pretty amazing. So there we have it, our very own wrapper, honestly, of Lovis's really cool football to 3D card workflow from fall, wrapped nicely in a website. But honestly, this is how a lot of the modern interactive web applications are being made these days that use generative media. You can go into workflows, which we'll be making videos specifically on how to make your own, but you can go into workflows, give users certain inputs like their photos, like their name, and you can configure that into whatever output you want using generative media, and that is a product. Now, would someone pay for this product alone? Probably not. If you put it into a bigger ecosystem of some business or some promotional aspect for a company, like you could be building these websites for the launch of a movie, for example, that this is a whole new world that is way more accessible to many people, and it's all thanks to fall workflows, and I'd have to say thanks to Claude Code. Let me know if you have any questions about this workflow in general. I know there were a lot of steps, and if you've never done the GitHub to Vercel thing, you can generally find the answers on either by asking Claude or watching YouTube videos. That's how I did it. But if you have any specifics that I can help you with, I'm all ears in the comments on the Fall YouTube channel. And hopefully you can build something cool with this, and I'll see you on the next video.